Could not fathom. That night, sleep evaded Thomas. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, each more troubling than the last. The stranger's presence hung heavy in the air, a miasma of unsettling energy that seemed to seep into every corner of the inn. He paced the floorboards of the inn, his mind awash with worry and unease. Each creak of the wood beneath his feet seemed to echo his growing dread. He'd seen his fair share of travellers over the years, but none had disturbed him like this. The stranger's eyes, cold and distant, haunted his thoughts. From the stranger's room came strange sounds, unsettling whispers like dry leaves rustling in the wind. It was as if the very walls were conspiring against him. Sometimes, in the dead of night, Thomas could have sworn he heard the murmur of voices, though he knew the stranger was alone. Days turned into nights, and the storm outside raged on, mirroring the turmoil within. The stranger never left his room. The door remained closed, a barrier between Thomas and the unknown. He refused all meals, his only sustenance seemingly the darkness that clung to him. Plates of untouched food were a testament to his eerie existence. Thomas would catch glimpses of him staring out the window, his eyes reflecting an unnatural light that sent shivers down his spine. Fear gnawed at Thomas's resolve, eating away at his courage. He felt a growing sense of dread that he couldn't shake off. There was something deeply wrong with the stranger, something evil. It was a malevolence that seemed to radiate from him, infecting the very air. He could feel it in his bones, a primal instinct warning him of danger. The atmosphere grew colder, more oppressive. He resolved to confront him in the morning, to demand he leave. Thomas knew he had to act, for the sake of his own sanity and the safety of his inn. The morning light did little to dispel the unease that had settled over the inn. Shadows seemed to cling to every corner, and an eerie silence hung in the air. Thomas, armed with a poker from the fireplace, made his way to the stranger's room. His footsteps echoed ominously in the empty corridor, each step amplifying his growing dread. He knocked, his voice shaking slightly. The silence that followed was deafening, heightening his anxiety.
"Sir, are you well?" Thomas called out, his voice barely above a whisper, hoping for any sign of life.
Silence. Thomas knocked again, louder this time. his knuckles turning white with the force. He tried the handle. Locked. Panic began to set in as he realized something was terribly wrong. He took a deep breath, raised the poker and smashed it against the flimsy lock. The door splintered open. The room was empty. The bed remained untouched, as if no one had ever been there. The only sign of the stranger's presence was his cloak, discarded on the floor. It lay there, lifeless, like a ghostly reminder of the night's events. As Thomas reached for it, his fingers brushed against something cold and hard. He picked it up, his heart pounding in his chest. It was a small wooden box, its surface adorned with strange symbols. The carving seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. It hummed faintly in his hand, radiating an unnatural chill. The cold seeped into his bones, making him shiver. As he pried it open, a gust of icy wind ripped through the room, extinguishing the lamp and plunging the inn into darkness. The sudden cold was suffocating. A voice, cold and ancient, echoed in the darkness. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, sending chills down Thomas's spine.
"You have found my vessel, mortal!" The words reverberated through the room, filled with a menacing power that made Thomas's blood run cold.